You've been trained to be liked, trained to keep the peace, to be agreeable, to be good. But Robert Greene's understanding of power and human behavior would tell you that goodness can become a mask, and if you're not careful, it becomes a prison. Because people-pleasing doesn't make you kind, it makes you invisible. You don't get more respect by saying yes. You don't get more love by being easy to like. You don't get more peace by being passive. You just disappear quietly and nobody notices. You think you're being helpful, cooperative, supportive, but the truth is you're abandoning yourself. And every time you do it, you teach the world that your needs don't matter, that your time is flexible, that your boundaries are optional, that your silence is approval. Robert Greene's work on human behavior and social power gives us a useful way to see people-pleasing. It is not simply politeness. It is a behavioral mask used to protect yourself from rejection, conflict, or disconnection. But here's the truth. The more you please, the more you'll be used. Not because people are evil, but because people respond to what you allow. And if you never show the parts of you that want to say no, that want to disagree, that want to be left alone, you'll become a shell, a shape built to fit into everyone else's expectations. And one day you'll wake up and wonder why you're tired, why you're resentful, why you feel fake, why nobody actually sees you. Greene's ideas about the masks people wear in social life point toward the same danger. The more completely you shape yourself around what others expect, the easier it becomes for them to believe that this performance is your identity, the mask you were told to wear, the version of you that was trained by your parents, your culture, your teachers to be acceptable, to fit in, to get approval, to avoid punishment, to survive. And you needed it. You still do in some ways. You can't walk through life saying everything you think, acting on every impulse. You need a mask for the world, for social roles, for peace. But here's the danger Greene repeatedly exposes when he examines human behavior. When you believe your mask is your identity, you lose your ability to act from your own position. Because you're not here to be agreeable, you're here to be real. You're not here to fit into everyone else's story. You're here to write your own. But you can't do that if your first instinct is to keep everyone comfortable. And this is what people-pleasers never realize until it's too late. Every time you avoid saying no, you say yes to self-erasure, the high cost of being liked. You think the cost of speaking your mind is conflict, but the real cost is resentment. You think saying no is selfish, but the real selfishness is staying silent, while secretly resenting everyone for not reading your mind. You think making people happy is noble, but the real nobility is having boundaries so clear that nobody has to guess who you are. Greene's understanding of repression, performance, and human behavior suggests that when you suppress your anger, your instincts, your voice, you don't become nicer. You become passive-aggressive, bitter, disconnected, because you know deep down you're not being honest. You're performing. You're curating. You're managing people's emotions instead of expressing your truth. And eventually your body will show the signs. Tired all the time, burned out, disconnected, afraid to disappoint, overthinking every reply, overanalyzing every interaction. That's not sensitivity. That's emotional imprisonment. And it gets worse because the more you please people, the more you teach them to expect your compliance. You train them to walk all over you. And they will, not always because they're cruel, but because you said yes so many times. They stopped believing you had a no. You can't be loved if you're not known. The people you're trying so hard to please, they don't know the real you. They only know the curated version you've shown them, and you're afraid to change now. Because if you suddenly set boundaries, they'll say you've changed. They'll say you're selfish. They'll say you're cold. But that's not the truth. The truth is they've just gotten used to your silence, your softness, your submission. And when you start being honest, it feels like aggression. Not because you're hurting them, but because your honesty is finally protecting you. Greene would tell you this is the moment where the performance becomes dangerous. When you start setting boundaries, people will often react as though you have violated an agreement, even when no agreement was ever made. They were simply accustomed to your compliance. The truth is they've just gotten used to your silence, your softness, your submission. And when you start being honest, it feels like aggression. Not because you're hurting them, but because your honesty is finally protecting you. Greene's ideas about power make this especially clear. People learn how to treat you by watching what you repeatedly tolerate. If you constantly make yourself available, constantly surrender your preferences, constantly soften your opinions to protect someone else's comfort, you create an expectation. Eventually, people stop seeing your flexibility as generosity and start seeing it as your normal operating condition. And once that happens, changing the pattern can feel almost like betrayal to them. But it isn't. It's simply the moment you stop negotiating against yourself. This is where the real shift begins. Not in becoming rude, not in becoming cold, not in suddenly treating everyone around you as an enemy. It begins when you recognize that being endlessly agreeable has given other people too much control over your behavior. You have been allowing their reactions to determine your decisions before you've even asked yourself what you actually want. And that is the hidden cost of being liked. You think you're buying harmony, but you're often paying for it with your independence. You think you're avoiding conflict, but you're simply moving the conflict inward, where it becomes resentment, exhaustion, and self-contempt. The high cost of being liked. You think the cost of speaking your mind is conflict, but the real cost is resentment. You think saying no is selfish, but the real selfishness is staying silent while secretly resenting everyone for not reading your mind. You think making people happy is noble, but the real nobility is having boundaries so clear that nobody has to guess who you are. Greene's broader view of human nature suggests that repression does not eliminate an impulse. It simply pushes it somewhere less visible, where it eventually returns in distorted form. And when you repress your anger, your instincts, your voice, you don't become nicer. You become passive-aggressive, bitter, disconnected because you know deep down you're not being honest. You're performing, you're curating, you're managing people's emotions instead of expressing your truth. And eventually your body will show the signs. Tired all the time, burned out, disconnected, afraid to disappoint, overthinking every reply, overanalyzing every interaction. That's not sensitivity. That's emotional imprisonment. And it gets worse because the more you please people, the more you teach them to expect your compliance. You train them to walk all over you. And they will, not always because they're cruel, but because you said yes so many times, they stop believing you had a no. The people you're trying so hard to please, they don't know the real you. They only know the curated version you've shown them. And you're afraid to change now. Because if you suddenly set boundaries, they'll say you've changed. They'll say you're selfish. They'll say you're cold. But that's not the truth. The truth is they've just gotten used to your silence, your softness, your submission. And when you start being honest, it feels like aggression. Not because you're hurting them, but because your honesty is finally protecting you. Robert Greene's perspective would push the idea even further. The person who constantly seeks approval eventually becomes predictable, and predictability makes you easier to control. You begin revealing exactly what will make you comply, exactly what will make you retreat, exactly what will make you apologize. Other people don't even need to consciously manipulate you anymore. They simply know which emotional pressure points will work. And suddenly you're back where you started, explaining yourself, softening the boundary, making the exception, saying yes when every part of you wanted to say no. This is why the problem cannot be solved simply by learning a few boundary phrases. The deeper problem is that you have trained yourself to experience another person's disappointment as a personal emergency. Their discomfort becomes your responsibility. Their anger becomes something you have to fix. Their rejection becomes evidence that you did something wrong. And until that connection is broken, even the strongest boundary can collapse the moment someone pushes back. The real transformation begins when you can allow another person to be disappointed without immediately rushing to rescue them from the feeling. Let them misunderstand you. Let them think you've changed. Let them question your motives. You don't have to correct every perception. You don't have to defend every decision. You don't have to make yourself smaller simply because someone preferred the version of you that never said no. This is not cruelty, it is clarity. Because you're not here to please people, you're here to be whole. You're here to say what needs to be said, to set boundaries that disappoint others, but protect your own position, to walk away from people who only valued you when you were easy to control. Greene's framework would not tell you to become heartless. It would tell you to become conscious of the games being played around you, including the ones you have been unconsciously playing against yourself. And the first game to recognize is this: you have been trading authenticity for approval, then wondering why the approval never feels satisfying. You have been winning acceptance while quietly losing yourself. And eventually, the cost becomes impossible to ignore. Greene would tell you this isn't selfish. This is the beginning of taking possession of your own life. And now we'll explore the psychology of that awakening. Why people-pleasing is rooted in childhood survival. How to recognize when your social mask is running the show. And how to begin the process of breaking the pattern without losing your relationships or yourself. Greene's work on power and human behavior gives us a useful lens here. People-pleasing is not just a behavior problem. It is a pattern of self-betrayal created over time through repeated conditioning and repeated rewards for compliance. Because you weren't born this way. You didn't enter the world hoping to please everyone. You weren't designed to say yes when you meant no. You weren't built to hide your truth just to keep the peace. You were trained into it, molded, conditioned. And the worst part is you thought it was love. You thought staying quiet made you mature. You thought sacrificing your needs made you generous. You thought suppressing your emotions made you strong. But the truth, it made you disappear. And the person people love, the person they admire, depend on praise isn't really you. It's your social persona. How the persona is formed. Greene's understanding of social behavior suggests that the mask you wear is not automatically fake. It is functional. You put it on to navigate school, family, relationships, work. It helps you fit in. It helps you get by. But when you start to identify with the mask, when you forget where it ends and you begin, you lose the one thing that makes life real: authenticity. And this is exactly what happens to chronic people pleasers. Somewhere in childhood, they learned that being honest meant being rejected, that expressing frustration meant being punished, that having needs meant being selfish. So they adapted. They smiled when they wanted to cry. They said yes when they wanted to scream. They acted small so others could feel big. They learned that love isn't given, it's earned through performance. And so the mask became permanent. What Greene's view of human nature helps expose is that modern advice can often remain on the surface. Most modern advice tells you to speak up, set boundaries, take time for yourself. It sounds nice, but the deeper problem is not simply learning a better behavior. It's understanding why you became dependent on the old one. Because when you abandon your true preferences over and over again, you don't just lose your voice. You lose your sense of position. You start asking, who am I without this role? What if people leave when I stop giving? Will anyone stay if I finally say what I feel? These aren't surface-level fears. They're existential because your survival used to depend on being liked. And now you've confused being liked with being safe. But the problem is, every time you choose safety over truth, you lose a little more of yourself. You become someone others depend on, but no one really knows. And this is the secret most people never admit. The people pleaser gets love, but it always feels fake, because deep down you know they're loving a version of you that doesn't even exist. They're loving the agreeable you, the reliable you, the flexible you. But what happens when you're tired? What happens when you have limits? What happens when you finally say no more? That's when the love disappears, and what's left? Guilt, silence, self-doubt. But Greene would tell you that this discomfort can be useful because it exposes the dependency that was hiding underneath the performance. The moment you stop measuring your worth through other people's approval, you begin recovering something far more important than approval: self-possession. Becoming whole, not liked. Greene's ideas about power and independence point toward the same antidote to people-pleasing. It is the process of reclaiming the parts of yourself that you exiled to stay accepted. Your anger, your selfishness, your pride, your truth. This isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. It's saying, yes, I care about others, but I care about myself too. Yes, I want peace, but not at the cost of my truth. Yes, I love you, but I won't abandon me to keep you. That's not rebellion. That's maturity. And if someone can't handle that, let them go. Because the self doesn't emerge through endless approval. It emerges through conflict, through confronting the people who are used to your silence, through disappointing those who only loved your compliance, through risking rejection to become real. And here's the twist. When you stop people-pleasing, you don't lose relationships. You lose imbalanced ones. You lose the people who benefited from your self-abandonment, and you make space for people who see you, love you, and can stand beside you without needing to control you. How to know your persona is controlling you. Greene's understanding of social masks suggests that the mask becomes dangerous when it becomes too rigid. When you're always the strong one, always the nice one, always the calm one, always the understanding one, then it's not a tool, it's a cage. And you'll know you're trapped when you feel exhausted after socializing. You overthink every decision. You're afraid of letting people down. You say yes out of fear, not desire. You feel unseen even in close relationships. These are not small problems. They are signs that your identity is cracking under the pressure of performance. And the longer you pretend, the more lost you become. Not because you're weak, but because the mask has become too convincing. And now even you can't tell where it ends. But here's the good news. The moment you realize this, you're free to change. You don't need permission. You don't need everyone to understand. You just need courage. The courage to pause before you say yes. The courage to let people feel disappointed. The courage to walk away from approval and walk toward authenticity. Robert Greene wouldn't tell you to become rude or cold. He would tell you to become so aware of your own motives, boundaries, and position that no one could manipulate you simply by pressing your need to be liked. And now we'll explore exactly how to do that. How to stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace. How to rebuild your identity outside of the nice role. And how to become someone who is respected, not just tolerated, all without becoming cold, bitter, or fake. By now, something inside you is shifting. You're starting to see how much of your life has been a performance, how much of your identity was built on keeping others comfortable, how often you've said yes when your whole body whispered no. And maybe for the first time you're asking the question, who am I when I stop pleasing? That's not an easy question. It's not just about changing your behavior. It's about changing the foundation of who you've been trained to be. Robert Greene's understanding of human nature and social behavior points toward this uncomfortable truth. When you stop pleasing people, you don't just lose comfort, you lose your former self. And what rises in its place isn't someone cruel or bitter. It's someone real, someone who doesn't need to be liked to be at peace, someone who doesn't need approval to feel worthy, someone who can say no without guilt and yes without fear. That's what real self-possession is. Not spiritual fluff, not moral perfection, but raw, uncomfortable truth becoming identity. So how do you become that person? Let's go step by step. 1. Recognize the guilt loop for what it is. When you first stop pleasing people, you'll feel guilt. You'll feel it in your stomach, in your throat, in your silence. You'll feel like you're being mean, like you're letting people down, like you're doing something wrong. But Greene would tell you to recognize what that discomfort is really revealing. This is withdrawal. You're detoxing from a life of approval addiction. You're experiencing the emotional discomfort of reclaiming your power. After years of giving it away, of course it feels heavy. But that heaviness isn't proof you're wrong. It's proof you're finally moving. Let the guilt come. Don't fight it. Don't overanalyze it. Just feel it and do the right thing anyway. That's how power returns in the space where guilt no longer dictates your actions. 2. Redefine your value. People pleasers get their worth from one thing: how useful they are to others. If you're helpful, you feel worthy. If you're needed, you feel safe. If you're liked, you feel important. But Greene would tell you this is not worth. It's conditional performance. And the danger. The moment you stop being useful, you feel replaceable. So the work is simple but not easy. You must redefine what makes you valuable. Not your utility, not your sacrifice, not your compliance, but your truth, your presence, your boundaries, your ability to be fully yourself, even when it disappoints people. That's where your real value lives. Not in what you do for others, but in what you no longer do against yourself. 3. Learn to disappoint without apology. Let this be your next milestone. You can disappoint people and still be good, still be kind, still be worthy. You can say no without over-explaining, without apologizing, without softening it to make them feel better. Because every time you soften your boundary to protect someone else's feelings, you reinforce the lie that your needs are dangerous. They're not. They're sacred. Greene's understanding of the darker and less socially acceptable parts of human behavior makes this especially important. Your ability to be misunderstood without collapsing is part of becoming stronger. You're not here to manage how everyone feels about you. You're here to be rooted in who you are, especially when people don't understand it. 4. Start small. Stay unshakable. You don't need to announce your new identity. You don't need to prove how confident you are. You don't need to argue with everyone who doubts you. Just start small. Don't respond right away. Don't explain every no. Don't over-apologize for things that aren't wrong. Don't offer more than you want to give. Let it be quiet. Let it be consistent. And soon something important happens. People begin to recalibrate their expectations around you. They stop pushing. They stop assuming. They stop draining because you've trained them through your silence, your firmness, and your peace that you're no longer here to please. You're here to be whole. 5. Embody the new standard. Once you stop pleasing, you'll start attracting differently. People who loved your compliance will fall away. Let them. That's proof you are being used, not loved. And in their place will come people who respect your silence, match your honesty, support your growth, love you for your truth, not your performance. But this only happens if you embody the new standard. Not once, not when it's easy, but every day in every conversation where you feel that old part of you wanting to bend again. Don't bend. Feel the urge. Hold the line. Breathe through the moment. Because every time you don't betray yourself, you grow stronger. And that strength, that subtle, grounded, quiet self-possession is what Greene's broader philosophy of power and character points toward. Not outer success, not validation, but internal integrity. Final words. You'll stop pleasing people after this. Not because you've become cold, but because you've become conscious. Robert Greene's work would not tell you to become cruel. It would tell you to become awake. To stop performing, to stop fawning, to stop bleeding your power out for people who wouldn't even hand you a bandage. He would tell you to become someone who is clear in your no, honest in your presence, grounded in your discomfort, whole even if it makes others uncomfortable, because the ones who are truly free are not the ones who are always liked. They are the ones who no longer need to be.